Well, hello everybody. Let me know if you can hear me. Hear me. Alright, glad you can hear me. 1 minute and 42 seconds, and we are going live. Good to see so many regulars in the house. So let your friends know that we're going to be going live if you've got any. I have one. So yeah, guys, just tweet it out or share it on Facebook, social media, whatever if you want. If you get the links there. Loud and clear. All right, 1 minute to go. Curious if any of you guys ever do the countdown with me. Let me know if you do. Yes, you do. All right, glad to hear it. So we'll be doing that in 35 seconds. So everyone probably in your house is going, what's this guy doing? Why is he counting down? All right, close, guys. Here we go. Get ready for the countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boom! And off we go. And hello, everybody. Welcome to Live from Lockdown, episode number 64. So here we are. I see lots of smiling faces there in the chat. Good to have so many regulars there. And the Bruce is loose, so don't forget to get your drink orders in. Bruce Bicknell's in the house. He is our moderator. So if you have any, once again, meal requests, special dietary needs, or particular drinks, he'll be happy to mix those up for you. But get them ready because it's a very short flight. We will be going for 1 hour today. And we're going to be talking about selections, cutouts, and masks inside of Photoshop. So it's great to see, as I said, a lot of regulars there. If you guys are regulars, in the chat there, just underneath or to the side or wherever it is, say hello. It's a friendly bunch. If you're new, welcome. Don't worry, don't be shy. Feel free to introduce yourself. Everybody here is very friendly, and it's just super chill and low-key. So we're not all formal and stuffy or anything like that, like all the other streamers on YouTube, which I'm joking because I don't think it's a very formal thing anyway. But we're particularly low-key here. So what we're going to be doing, though, is just kind of coming together and doing some fun stuff. So for those of you who have never joined us before, Live from Lockdown is something we started at the beginning of this global lockdown over a year ago. I didn't think it would still be going, but here we are 64 weeks later, and we're all in various stages of lockdown. Some of us are open, like I know Florida is, California is pretty open now, and other places are opened up and in lockdown again. So it's kind of a weird thing, but just to let you guys know, we're going to keep going. Even after lockdown has ended, we're going to continue to do a live stream. I don't know if it's going to continue to be weekly or what we're going to do, but it's just really become a great time of community for the cafe crew to come together. So anyway, guys, I've said a lot of stuff there, so why don't we switch to my screen, which is much more exciting. And we're going to be doing a little bit of selections and masks today. Photos asking, am I speaking at Optic? Yes, this Sunday I'll be doing something at Optic. Check it out for Wacom. I'm going to be doing a presentation. So that's on B&H's or Optic site. Look it up and look at the virtual trade show or whatever it is. Look for Wacom. I'm on the schedule there. I'm not sure exactly what time, but this Sunday. So thanks for asking. So what we're actually going to do, and I'm going to have a nice little offer for you guys later. We'll talk about that when we get to it. But right now, What I want to focus on is doing cutouts inside of Photoshop. So I know one of the most requested things and one of the biggest things that people do is cut things out. You know, where you're doing selections, you're doing masks, you're cutting them out because you want to do compositing, or maybe you want to do, you know, other things such as, you know, do filtering or adjustments, and you just want to put them in a certain area of the image. There's lots and lots of reasons we could be doing this. We'd be cutting out artwork, all that fun stuff. So what I'm going to do here is, let me just, because, you know, some things have changed in Photoshop over the years. I don't know if you guys have noticed. I'm kind of joking, being a little bit sarcastic, because of course you have. We've got a lot of changes. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start off with just the basic workflow, the current workflow today. Let me just drag these in here. This is Bridge I'm working from. So some of our friends there will be happy. One particular person, David, we're not in Lightroom right now. We're in Bridge. So it'll make you, we've got to pretty much make a joke about that now. All right, so we're going to open this inside of Photoshop. So we're going to open this in Photoshop. And it doesn't matter, by the way, guys, if you start from Bridge or you start from Lightroom. I think we already, did we ever do one on Lightroom versus Bridge? Let me know if we did, and if that's something you ever guys want to see, like why would you use Lightroom over Bridge and Camera Raw? I can't even remember what I've taught now and what I haven't. All right, so this is a photo I shot a few years ago in my studio at the time, and this is Crystal, and I was using constant lights on this. I was using Kino flows, but who cares? How do we cut her out? Okay. So let's look at some basic cutout principles. One of them is, obviously, you know, since Photoshop 2019, we have this object selection tool. Actually, that was in 2020. But if we grab any of these, I like to call them the magic selection tools. You'll see an option that says select subject. If we click on select subject, it will start the selection for us, and it's getting better and better and better. In this case, look at that, it's really good. And what that's doing is it's just starting a selection. Now, it's not looking at tones and color and all the things you would think it'd be looking at. What it's actually doing is looking at the shapes. It's an AI, it's machine learning, Adobe Sensei, and then what it's doing is it's literally recognizing, hey, this is a person, and then it's using that to start with the selection. Obviously, it's a clean background. Yes, we're starting with the basics. All right, so if you don't want to use that tool, or it doesn't work, or whatever reason, you can grab the quick selection tool. Now, here's a tip of the quick selection tool. We can drag to make a selection. Now, if you're using a Wacom pen, which I am, just grab this little thing at the top here, and you'll see size pen pressure. So if you turn on that option for pen pressure, and what I'm doing is I've got the multi-touch on the tablet, and I brushed my hand, that's why that disappeared. That means now I can press hard to make a very aggressive selection, or I can press very lightly to do a gentle selection, which is what I'm doing there, holding down the option key to take away from the selection. Kind of like the guy who serves my food. I don't know if you guys have told you that before, but there's a takeout place I go to, and this guy's so determined not to put too much meat in there. You know, when they spoon the food out like that, he puts it like this. He's like pulling the meat away and just making sure all I get is sauce. So that's using the option key. This guy serves the food holding down the Alt or the option key. All right, so let's go in here, holding down the Alt or the option. Does anyone else know people like that, serving your food like that? All right, so what I'm doing is I'm just making a rough selection. Okay, it's not perfect around the feet. I don't know, is that her jeans or not? Let's find out. I think it's the shadow. Sometimes you can grab the shadow in there, by the way, guys, and you can use the shadow in the new environment. That's definitely an option. So what I'm doing is I'm just cutting it out here. Obviously, I need to get in a little bit tighter there. And one of the things where, you know, you're doing these adjustments, these selections yourself, whether you're doing it yourself or you're using the adjustment tools, is these nook and crannies are the places that it doesn't get it very well, particularly with the AI. The AI struggles with that. But one of the things I would recommend, a key to getting a good selection is doing this. A lot of people just try to do it, you know, high level, and then wonder why they don't get precision, because they don't go in and make good starter selections. So the quality of these selections that you make at the beginning is actually going to help you later on. So let's go in here a little bit more, and I'm just going to do this. And if that's the only tip that you take away from today, is that, you know, like the selection tools are not working, and that's because you're just applying them with 5 thumbs on each hand from 10,000 feet and wondering why you're not getting precision results. Yeah. So just go in a little bit here, put a little effort in. And by the way, holding down the space bar is how I can move that. And let's just start with a decent selection. It's going to help you. Let's grab that. And we'll go some hair there. We'll get that in a sec. Is this going to be perfect? I have no idea. Probably not. Nothing I do live is perfect. Let's add to that. So I'm just dragging. Alt or the Option key, remember, is taking away. I'm probably being way too critical with this, but let's just do it anyway. Alright, so there we go. We're getting in there. Oh, we got some weird stuff going with the shadows here. Shadows are difficult to cut out. Sometimes, as I said before, it's just as easy to just include those shadows in there sometimes. Whoa. Let's try that again. The tool was there. The tool did not go back to the plus for a second. Alright, so anyway, we're making a selection. So that's stage 1. Oh, let's make sure we add that. Okay, great. So we've roughly selected everything. Now, if you're working against a busier background, it's the same thing. It's just going to take a little bit more work. Just go in there and just make a small brush and select and take away, you know, and you'll be surprised. It doesn't matter if it's a busy background or a clean background. Also, the other question I have for you is, if you're a photographer and you're doing, like you know, I have a studio, I'm a photographer, I have a camera, I have a backdrop, I have lights. Why would I shoot against a busy background if I know I'm going to do a composite? You know, that's just... you know, sometimes that's what you're given and that's what you have to work with. But sometimes I have people say, oh, that's against a you know, basic background. And yes, at a professional level, you are shooting against a clean background. That's part of the process. Shooting is half the process. Working is the other half of the process. So yes, you're not always working against a simple background, but you're not always working against a difficult background either. All right, cut that off my chest. If any of you have ever done any YouTube videos, you get a lot of trolls. Alright, so let's go ahead and, as Bruce said there, smash the like button and subscribe if you haven't, and turn on notifications. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to choose Select and Mask. This is where we go and adjust it. Now, if you guys remember, back in the day, before Select and Mask, we used to have a thing called Refine Edge. So I'm about to show you the first tip. This is a hidden tip, and... a lot of you will have no idea this exists. So if you go under the Select menu and you go down to Select a Mask, you can select a mask. But check this out. Hold down the Shift key and choose Select a Mask. And look at this. Now I can bring up the old Refine Edge. You probably missed that and you're just like, what? How did Refine Edge get there? Select, hold down the Shift key, and then go to Select a Mask, and you can bring up the old Refine Edge, which for some things I still think it works better. You can't do it from the menu. Let me just cancel that, because we're not going to do that. So if you click on Select a Mask and hold down the Shift key, it's just going to bring up Select a Mask. See that? So now we're in the Select a Mask. So you can only get to Refined Edge through that menu. All right, moving along. In case you guys missed that. And if you liked that, what I just showed you there, hit that like button. If you already hit the like button, then hit it twice, because if you hit it once, you're just going to unlike it. Alright, so now that we're in this space here, which is our Select and Mask, we know we're in there because you can see these panels on the right-hand side of the screen. Let me make sure I'm on the left-hand side of the screen so I'm not covering them. That's good. I don't want to be covering any important details. Alright, so what we can do is we now want to use this to see, you know, how's our selection going to look. Now, there's a little display bug, at least on my Mac Pro. I don't know how it is for you guys. I've got opacity turned all the way up, but I'm still seeing the background. All you got to do is just touch that little arrow, and then it will go into the proper view. So notice the original background's not there. Now we're viewing it on white. Now, you can view it on different things. If you hit the view, you will see there's different things we can do. We can look at it black and white, which is a mask. We can look at it on white, which is, if you were going to put this against a light background, this is what you would use. If you were going to work against a black background, you would choose on black. We've got overlay, which is our quick mask, whatever color we've got set for that. Marching ants is just a selection. And in layers is if you've got layers underneath, you can see, or, you know, it just shows the checkerboard. All right, so that's what all of those do. Now, you can get to those quickly by just tapping the key next to them. So if I want it on black, I hit A for black. Or you can hit the Y key, and that will take you against the background. So if you click on here, and you can see it shows all the different things. Now, if you want to hit the F key, we can cycle through the different views without having to do that. So one of the tips I would do is just go through and find the one that it looks worse. So I see I've got white fringing, and look for that fringing, because this is going to help you get a better selection. Now, once again, if you're going on to white and you just want to do it quickly, just look at it on white. You don't have to take time doing that. If you're not sure, or it's going to go into mixed colored background, make sure you go onto the one that it looks worse. Okay, so that's the one thing. Now, there's a new selection option that has been added. There's actually 2 different algorithms that are working here inside of Select to Mask. I know we're going more in detail here, and this is what we do in the live streams. So if you look on here, Refine Mode actually has 2 options, Object Aware or Color Aware. So right now it's using the AI, which is the Object Selection. So this is AI-based selections. Or if we use Color Aware, it actually looks at the color, and we can click yes, we want to proceed, and it's going to redo the selection based on colors. So if you've got a really busy background, you want to be using Object Aware, or if it doesn't work, switch to Color Aware. Now, there's another option that we have here. It's called Refine Hair. So it actually looks at the hair, and it's going to kind of help us. So if we click Refine Hair, notice how the hair immediately looked better. See that? So here's an interesting thing. If you've got fur and stuff, it's not going to do the whole body. It's just going to do the head. So it's based on hair and not fur. But notice, yes, we've definitely got an improvement there already. That's great. I'm liking where we're going with this. Now, what we're going to do is use the little refine edge. What I used to do is go around the hair with this brush. You know, you would actually just go around the edges of the hair, and this will get you a better selection. But Refine Hair actually does that for you. If you're using an earlier version that doesn't have Refine Hair, just grab this little hairy tool and then just run it around the edge of the hair. That will do that. Now, before we do anything else, I want to find our edge, because we've got jaggies and all kinds of stuff going on. So what we want to do is choose Show Edge, and this is showing the edge. Oh, look at that, Refine Hair. Just like going over the brush, just like I told you. It just goes over those edges and enables that selection. Now, what we want to do is adjust the radius until we get a thin line around everything else. So let's just move that radius 1 pixel. Nothing. Let's go 2 pixels. Aha! Now we're seeing something. So this is how this works. On the inside is the areas we keep. On the outside is the areas that get thrown away. Where Photoshop makes the decisions is on these lines. This is why we've got a fat line. So if you've got a area of fur or hair or a soft edge, transparency, smoke, feathers, anything like that, grab this tool with a large brush size, the brush size is up here, and make a nice wide edge, and it'll do the soft selections. If you have a tighter or a harder, smoother edge, you want to have a thinner edge. So that's what the radius will do. It's just the equivalent of taking a very, very thin brush and running it all the way around. Okay, now that we've got that set up, let's turn off the show edge, look back at where we are, and notice how much better this is already looking. Now, if you have areas that need touching up, you can just go in there and start to paint these areas, such as the area of white there in her shirt. That's looking better, and a little bit there. And that's because it's a semi-transparent. And notice as I'm doing this, even when I touch these edges, notice how all the other edges are adjusting at the same time, because you're giving it more information. The more information you give Photoshop about the edge, the more the entire edge is going to look better. All right, so we're getting pretty close here. Now, there's a couple of other options. Now, here's one of the things I recommend. If it's looking good, don't go ahead and move any of these sliders unless you need to. So, if we've got some, hairy looking edges, as in hairy, not looking good, then you can start to use some of the things like feather, smooth, contrast. So if it's super jaggy, use a smooth. If you can see a fringe or a halo around this, what the shift edge will do, but don't use that until after another thing I'm about to show you. So sometimes you get an edge and it's just kind of, it's half selected and half not selected. That's what contrast does. Contrast will choke that. And the feather will just kind of soften the edge a little bit. So if things are looking too hard, you can just give it a little bit of feather like we have there, and it just slightly softens those edges. That's another option. Which also works good, if you're using a shallow depth of field, so everything's sharp and the edges are soft. How can you tell if the edges should be soft? Here's another tip for you guys. Grab that magnifying glass, zoom in. So generally speaking, if I'm using something really sharp, the face is going to be sharp. Of course, I'm using continuous light, so it's not as crisp as you would get using a strobe. But this is how you tell if an area should be hard or soft when you cut out that edge. Look for overlapping areas. See where the arm there is overlapping her body? Is that soft? Is it in sharp, or is it not sharp? And that's how you know how sharp you want to have these edges, because these are going to be a similar plane there. And that will actually help you get a more realistic result. Just a little tip there. We'll find that in the user manual. Alright, so now we've got all these edges. Remember I mentioned to you guys, hey, we can go ahead and we can, do some things on those edges. We can crush them, we can shift the edge. There's another option called decontaminate color. Decontaminate color is actually really useful when you use things like green screen, because when you work with a green screen, what it does is you get something called spill. When the person's too close to that green screen, the light hits them, if you've got the front light, and usually you light the green screen as well. You should actually have other lights lighting that green screen, and that light bounces back and hits the edges sometimes and can come out as a rim light. A colored rim light. And you'll notice that even if you're not using a green screen. If you're using a flash that's pointed at the roof, colored roof, you'll notice a color cast will come from that. You're probably familiar with that. So anyway, so you get that color fringe, and then you turn on decontaminate colors, and boom, gets rid of it. But what it also works nicely for sometimes, we get these white fringes and stuff like that. When we turn this on, watch those edges. Boom, done. Decontaminated, cleaned them up, got them kaping. And we're looking good. So that's it against a black. Now let's hit the F, and looks good against white. So we're tapping this F, and we can see there's the mask. Look at that. We're even seeing the semi-transparent areas here in her shirt, where that lace is showing the background behind it. Maybe the hair is a little bit not great. Let's have a look. So we're just cycling again. No, it looks fine. Yeah, I think we're okay with that. If you're unsure about that hair, and you feel like, you want to refine it a little bit more in the middle there, just grab that refine brush, and we could get into these areas here and just make sure they're being properly selected. There we go. So if you're like, I don't like those holes, just go through, do that, and if you want to force it, this brush here will force that. See the background there? Or, well, let's go zoom out a little bit. Trying to get aggressive, make a point. Look at this. That will force that color so you can paint it back in. If you want to force something away, hold the Alt or the Option key with that brush selected, and you can take it away. So that's just like manually painting on there. So you have the ability to do all of that. I don't know if anybody ever goes in and uses it, the refine edge or the select a mask to this nth degree, but I've just shown you pretty much all the options available in here. Okay, so the other thing is output. We can go down here. You can do it to a new layer, and honestly, the only thing I ever use is new layer for layer mask. Sometimes you might use it on a selection. Now, it's not going to show the option for the selection here, and I don't know, maybe if I grab this tool up here, it probably will, or something. There's a setting somewhere. Maybe it needs to be on a new layer, whatever. But I always use it on new layer for layer mask. That's how I always use it. And then just click OK to apply it. So you guys use Refine Edge? Alright, awesome. So there's Select a Mask. It's done a pretty decent job. But the nice thing about it is now I'm seeing that hair I was worried about. It's not looking great. But because we output it to New Layer Mask, I can grab a brush, grab a black brush, and I can just paint around. Whoops. Control Z, let me just grab this, and I can make sure I paint with white. Did I say black? White. And you can just paint it back in. Look at that. Well, there we go. And you can just fill in those holes. So you have the option to go through and do all of that. That's actually a little bad. There we go. All right. So we can go through and just touch it up. So that's the nice thing about using the layer masks. All right, so If you guys are liking this, do me a favor, smash that like button into dust. Okay, how many likes do we have right now? Let's see where we're going here. And I've got a million windows over here. Where are we, guys? We are here somewhere. There we go. All right, so we have 89 likes. Come on, guys. Let's do better. There we go, 94 likes. I like that. And if you haven't yet subscribed, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and you won't miss our live streams or our weekly videos. All right, guys, so I hope you're finding this good. Now, let's see if we got questions before I move on a little bit here. It's come a long way from the old days, hasn't it ever? Cats and dogs, yeah, the refine edge will work very well, or the selector mask. Don't see a like button. The like button is a thumbs up. That's the thumbs up button on YouTube. It's at the bottom, Dustified. Yay, we hit 100. All right, you guys rock. But you already knew that. Was that a question there? How to save a selection? Okay, let's do that right now. Okay, so if you are working on a selection that you want to save, let me show you exactly how to do it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pop out the channels so I can actually show you what's going on under the hood while we do it. And by the way, notice if I click on the layer in the channel RGB, red, green, and blue makes up that image. If I click on the layer mask, it selects that mask. Now, a mask is an alpha channel. An alpha channel is another channel inside of Photoshop that's been used since Photoshop started for making selections. Only since Photoshop 5, maybe? Or I know Photoshop 3 added layers. Maybe they added masks, or maybe it came in Photoshop 5, I forget now, which is where layer masks arrived, which are just basically showing these next to the layer. All right, so why did I tell you that? Because that's how selections are saved. So what we want to do is load a selection. The way to load the selection is to hold down the Control key. That would be Command on Mac, and click on a layer mask. Now, if you just had a cutout layer, that would work too. So it will find either the edges of that layer. Let me just give you so I can show you a different example, just to show you guys. I'll just add something in here. I don't know, add some type. That will work. And let's have a look. This is in Finish. I'm joking. Okay, so if I wanted to load that mask, hold down the Control or Command key, and notice you see that little thing appears when I go over the mask. Click, loads the selection. So it will load from a mask. But if you have a layer, Control click, notice it selects the transparency. So if it's a layer that's cut out, it'll select that transparency. If it has a mask, it will select that mask. Obviously, if you select the layer, it's not going to do anything, but select the mask. And that's how you load the selection. Okay, so now you know how to load the selection. What about saving it so we can use it for later? There's a couple of different ways. I'm going to show you the easy way, which is under Select. By the way, guys, these names are there for a reason. Everything to do with selections is underneath the Select menu. Go figure. So everything, if you're looking for something to do with selections, it's here. If you want to modify a selection, it's going to be under there. So if you want to feather it, then maybe it will help you remember, just realize where things are. Sometimes these things are so obvious, you don't necessarily figure it out. Okay, so under Select, we're going to save a selection. And we'll call it C for Crystal. All right, and we see we're creating a new selection. So we're going to click OK. Control D or Command D will turn off that selection. Or, let me just select, reselect. The other way you can do it is just to choose a selection tool and click away. Either way will do that. Now, if you look under the channel, notice that we're not on the layer. If we choose the layer with the mask, it's going to appear, but we're just anywhere. But notice that that mask that we created, or that selection that we saved called C, is now there. So if I want to load that selection, we can do it through the menu, through Select, Load Selection. And then we can look at the channels. Oh, go figure. The transparency is there for the, yeah. Or we can go down to, whatever layer we select. If there's a mask, that's going to be available. But what we're looking for is C. That's what we saved. And just click OK. And boom, it's going to load that selection from C. So you don't even have to be looking at the channels. You don't need to be knowing what's going on. Just go into select, load, and save selection. You can save multiple selections. The faster way of doing this, of course, is Control or Command click on that channel, and that will load the selection. So if you wanted to save that as a selection and you want to do it in the channels and you have the channels open, so that I've shown you how to do it, the menu. Now we're looking at method number 2. We've loaded the selection. Just click here and just call it, actually I probably have to start from the RGB image. Let me ditch that. Let's just go back for a second, guys. Okay, so we're on the RGB. We've got that selected. Let's click here to add the mask, and we're going to call this one C. And I don't think it's saving anything until I fill it with white. Control D. All right, so that will work to load that selection as well. So we can load anywhere here just by control clicking, and that will load that selection. So sometimes it's easier just to, save it in the channels panel and just work from there. And other times it's easier to use from the selection menu, depending on how you want to do it. Or you can save it as a mask, control click to load that mask. And that's how we would load and save selections. All right, what do we got? Any other questions there? Hi, John. Need to combine multiple masks. Okay, if you need to combine multiple masks, it's quite easy. So we control click, and we've selected this. Make sure the layer is active. Control click. Select that layer. There we go. Control click on there. We've got that loaded. So now I want to load another selection. Let me see if I can do this. Up here, you've got these options. We've got new selection, add to selection, subtract from selection, or intersect with selection. If we want to add to the selection, of course, it's not going to work there. Let me get some overlapping area so I can show you. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a couple of shapes. This will show you guys exactly how to do this. This is actually going to be a good lesson for you guys. Okay, so let's just create this. We've got this shape here, and we've got that as a path. I don't want it as a path. I want it as a shape. Let's grab that. All right, so now we've got a circle. We're going to create a new layer, and we're going to create another circle. All right, so this is how you can do this. And in fact, why don't I just right click, I'm just going to rasterize these into layers, just so these are regular pixel layers. All right, so these are shapes. There's 2 of them. Notice there's a circle and another circle. Okay, so if you control click, we load the selection. Now, if we go to the next one here, and we want to work with the selections, grab the selection tool, and then we have options. If we want to add to selection, click there. Control click. I believe it's Control Shift click. There we go. Control Shift click is how we load to. Control click, Control Shift click. There we go. All right, so that's how we will combine those selections. But then when we're working in here, I believe this works when we're making selections. Let me show you. So we make a selection here, and then I want to take a selection, add to it. We'll click this add or hold down the Shift key, and we can add. If we want to take it away, you'd hold down the Option key, or just drag using that option, and here this will do the intersection of the 2, and it will show just that. So the other way, of course, we can do that is Option or Alt will take away, Shift will add, and I'm not sure what it is for intersect. So you're going to basically, that's how you can combine different selections. So if you wanted to load the selection of our model, hold down the Shift key, we select the model and that circle. See what we've done there? That's how you can combine selections. All right, so hopefully that helped. Can you duplicate the selection to have a number of C selections next to the original? Of course you can. All you need to do is just go under here and just drag a copy, drag another copy, and yeah, just drag it into there. Or I believe Control J will also do it. Nope, you have to drag it in, and we can make multiple ones. Yeah, so you can create multiple selections there, and you could change the size of them. So if the reason you wanted to do that is you wanted to have a flipped one, you could do that. You could do all that fun stuff there. So yeah, that's essentially what we are doing there with the selections. All right, time to move on. And oh, by the way, guys, I just want to let you know, and once again, this is I'm doing this just to help you guys out. I'm just going to let you know really quickly. I'm going to do something special for you guys. So you might be familiar. I did the selections course, which is the full-length course. And what I'm going to do, most of you probably already have this, but for those who don't and you want to know more about selections, I'm going to give you, just you guys on the stream, a 50% discount. Bruce has the code for that, and this is everything that's in there, because clearly I'm not going to get through all of this. And I think this is the second time I've offered you something in the 60-something weeks, and normally I will never do 50% on the website or whatever. But anyway, those are all the lessons that are on there if you guys want it. And I'll just keep that going for a day or two. Let me just see. I had a note somewhere. Bruce has the link and the code, if he'll post it in there, which he did. So the code is going to be, and by the way, guys, it's at photoshopcafe.com. And I'm just going to give this to you quickly, and then we're going to move on. And I'm not going to mention it anymore. But let me just show you. This is the code here. LFL selections. Easy to read. Let me put that against black. I'm going through this as quickly as I can so we can just continue moving on. So that's the code there. I'll leave this up for a day or two, probably not any more than that, a week tops. And if we go to this address here, this is where you can get it from. photoshopcafe.com, shop Photoshop, selection secrets, or just go to photoshopcafe.com and you'll see on the website, you'll just see a link under premium tutorials. Click under there, premium training. You'll see selections, blah blah blah, and it's a download only. It's updated to the latest version and also works on CS6. All right, we're not mentioning that anymore. I think that's everything we needed to show on that, isn't it, guys? Bruce, did I forget anything? Let me know. What's not working? The link is not working. No, so much for that. Let me post in the link as well. Should be working. Okay, it's working now. All right. So there's the link. Thank you, guys. And once again, I won't be putting this on the website. This is only for you guys on the stream. I'll leave it up for a few days for the replay crew. But, anyway, if you don't want to get it, no big deal. I don't care. Just kind of letting you know. All right, so moving on. Let's do something else with selections. Where are we? I'm just looking for my bridge window. I've got working on multiple screens here with 3 different things going on, which makes it nice and easy to see what's going on here. Okay, so let's open up here and let's move. Any other questions about those selection, guys? Just drop them there into the chat, and I launched Premiere Pro by accident. That's what I love about live. I don't get to edit out all the dumb things I do. All right, let's go here. And we got lesson files. Let's open those up. Sweet. And I think I'm going to show you this one. This is just kind of a fun one. Okay, so sometimes there's other ways of making selections inside of Photoshop. Is that a question there? And sometimes we can be using the selection tools, automatic selection tools, the pen tool, all of that. And sometimes we can do it with focus area or depth of field. You're welcome, KG. KG thanked me for that discount. Works now. Sorry, did we have a question? FYI, to create an alpha channel from the selection, the rectangle with the circle in the middle, not the rectangle with the plus. Thank you for that, Cheryl. If I have a selection and I want to create a channel from it, don't do the plus like I did. Grab this one there. Thank you. And it creates the channel. All right. So thank you for bringing that to our attention. All right. So, great photo maker. All right. So let's have a look and see if they put this under the select menu, which once again is where everything to do with selections is under the select menu. There's so many ways of creating these selections, and one of them is focus area. So if we click on this focus area, what it does is it looks for the areas that are in focus versus the areas that are out of focus. And we can change the range of it. Notice what it does here. This will basically change the sensitivity. And yeah, that'll get everything. And then we start to just, you go to about where it looks the best. That's what you want to do. And we can adjust the noise level. And then what we do once we get in here, we've got the plus and minus tool. We can use the plus tool to paint it in. And I went a bit overboard with that. And you can grab the minus tool. Whenever you see a plus and a minus, all you got to do though is just hold down the Alt or the Option. See how you see a little plus on there? And if I hold the Alt or the Option, it goes to minus. So whenever you see those, you don't have to go between them. Just use the plus and minus tools. So what I'm doing is I'm going around there, and of course it will refine that edge. And it's probably going to be really, really hard pressed to get this bit of rope in here. But let's try it. Sometimes with things like this, it's easier to just fix that after the fact. Now let's see how we go. Yeah. And let's go to the plus and see if I can add it. Ooh. I'm gonna guess, not bad. Okay, so what you can do though, of course, is, I'm just showing you how that works. At this point here, what you would do is just select the areas you want. We could continue painting in here, trying to get it perfect. And notice when you do that, it will use that area to, you know, intelligently make that selection. So try and get a little better. There we go. I'm holding down Alt or Option. And you'll get about, you know, it's actually not bad. It's not too bad. Get it as good as you can. Then what you're going to do is just going to output this to a layer with a layer mask. Click OK. And then when you've got that layer mask, you can refine it. And another way you can do is use Select and Mask. So if you hit the Control or Command key, select it. That loads the selection like I showed you guys before. And then what you want to do is you want to go to Select and Mask. But notice Select and Mask is not available because we didn't use a selection tool. We used it, well, we used a different type of selection tool. So what we're going to do is fool Photoshop into thinking that we used the Quick Selection tool. So if we click the Quick Selection tool, it now thinks we are, and we could use it so we're not lying to Photoshop. And you can start to just kind of go in there and clean it up a little bit. See what we're doing? You can start to go in and use that tool. But what this enables you to do, of course, is to go into Select and Mask, and now we can use these tools to work combined with the other ones. I know it's crappy down there, but I just want to just quickly, I'm just trying to show you how it works. But see how this refining works a lot better, and now we can go in here and clean up our rope. See how that rope is starting to look a lot better there now? There we go. Yeah, and then of course you'll do the same thing on the other side. You'll go over here, and if it's struggling with that, that's when it's a good time to grab this tool here. So a lot of the time, you know, to get the best selections in Photoshop, we might be using different tools together. I guess that was the shape of the thing there. Okay, interesting. Yeah, that was the shape. So it did have that weird shape around that edge. Okay. And we're just going in there, clearing that up. And, you know, so you're going to use those tools together. Now, another way you might do this is, because I already cut that out, let me show you another way to do this. If you're going to use the tools together, this is probably a better way of doing it. Just go into here, choose Select. Use the focus area. So let's just do this for a quick selection. All right, so we've got a quick rough selection. Now, rather than using Select with Layer Mask, use a selection. Click OK, and now what we've done is we've just loaded the selection only. We're still on a regular layer. Now we'll go into Select and Mask. There we go. And now we're going to get a much better result using the little feather thing. I'm sorry I didn't show you guys that in the first place. I hadn't used this tool in probably at least 6 months, so there we go. So just going in here. And see how we can go in now, and we can start to refine that selection, and this should probably work properly now. There we go. There we go. And, you know, once again, I'm, you know, just going around those edges, is telling, hey, this is where I want it to go. If you're struggling with it to go away, you can, of course, just hold down the Alt or Option key with that tool there, and you can force it if you want to save time. But see how we're getting in there? We're starting to get the little bits of rope are starting to appear, and it's getting better and better and better. There we go. Going in the middle there. And we're getting better and better and better and better, and we continue to go through here. Now, of course, on that course that I have a lot of other things I'm showing you guys, you know, how to cut out hair, how to cut out transparency, all the other fun stuff. But basically what we're doing here is, you know, we're going to continue to do the same thing. I'm not going to take the time to clean up here because it's the same. What we did here is just what you're going to do on the rest of the image. Because what I want to do is I want to take a second for another segment here that I know you guys really enjoy. Now, if you've got your creations, you want to share them with us, upload them to our group. We have a Facebook group, and Bruce, if you don't mind posting the link to a Facebook group there, I will also post it here. Boom. That's our Facebook group. Please feel free to join it and post some of your work up there, guys, because what I'm doing here is... let's look at some of the things that you guys submitted in the last week or two. So this is where I'll show some of my favorite ones that you guys have posted in our group. So here's one from Marcin, Encounter in a Forest. This is cool. I like what you've done here with the depth of field and the atmosphere here. This is really nice. Thank you for sharing that. Here's another composite here. I really love the concept of this. They've got a pretty good job here of cutting out the water, and I like the elephant in the background. It's a great concept. Now, one of the issues I have with this is you've got some posterization going on in the elephant, which would be fine if the rest of the image was, you know, posterized, but it's not. So just try to match. I mean, there's a little bit there, but be careful. If you apply an effect onto one of the layers, you need to make sure that effect is on everything, or maybe the photograph was a lower bit depth. Just be careful of that, guys. But I love the concept here. It's a great story. I think just the execution, the cutout of the elephant's nice. Just be careful that those surfaces match is all. And that's Oga's and Fran. I like this. This is a very fun. I notice that Fran posts a lot, and she loves to do the little kids and the dogs, and it's cute and it's funny. I like it. Just watch these selection edges. See here, it's a little soft. To just make sure that you do like we did, you know, with the refine edge and stuff like that. But it's a really fun photo. Just, you know, I love this composite. It's funny. Who let the dogs out? You know, just hear the music going there. And if you guys are here, mention in the comments that you're here. Here's another one. I like this. This is Junito doing the Cyberpunk. I enjoy Cyberpunk a lot. The Cyberpunk 2070 was fun. One thing I would do with the Cyberpunk here is I would go for more of that pink, magenta / cyan or pink blue kind of look that you get from the Cyberpunk colors. But I like that. This is cool. This is Oga's 4 photos composited. This is like something from like a horror movie or something. It's cool. Then Oga's again. I love this concept, the jellyfish dreaming, controlling her dreams or whatever is happening here. It's a cool thing. And I can't say this name, but this is a really neat composite that he's done of all these different images. Very nice. Nicely done. And of course, Drumroll Studios. I don't know if you're watching, but he posts these from time to time. And I love these, you know, he's kind of put himself into the picture here and done the miniature stuff. Very nicely done. Great work, great concept. Richard, this is nice here. Little compositing work using the Boris Optics filters, Boris effects. A beautiful one here by Kira. I love the look on this, the coloring, the mood, the blurring, everything is just really nicely done. And it just kind of is reminiscent of an old photograph or an old painting. Beautifully done. Jacqueline, love this with the reflection. Very nice, beautiful color grading. And she was watching our color grading video and gave us some ideas from there. Here's another kind of interesting one from Dana. Dana Carr, are you in the house? Usually you're here during LFL. And it was like an explosion of a fountain. It's cool. Very neat effect there. And that's what I have to show there. Once again, we don't have a name for that segment. Someone mentioned we should call it Flex My Photo. I kind of like that. That's a good idea as well. Dana, there you are. Thank you for submitting that. Nicely done. So, guys, we've done a little bit of selections here. What we want to do now is maybe we'll apply what we're learning, and we're going to do it on some of your work. I think this week it's time for Fix My Photo. And here we are in Fix My Photo, where I fix your guys' photos, everybody's favorite segment. And if you want me to consider fixing your photos, upload it to fixmyphoto.net. I prefer a RAW file. If you don't have a RAW file, then I will take a TIFF. If you don't have a TIFF, all you have is a JPEG. JPEG is fine. Just give me the largest file you can. However, RAW is better because it gives me more dynamic range to work with. So the better the quality of the photo you can give me, the better. And don't send your good photos, your edits. Put your edits on Flex My Photo or whatever we're going to call that. Which is on the Facebook group, and I'll share those. This is a place to upload the photos that you guys want me to work on to fix. So put your your bad photos, or just photos you want to do something fun with, like maybe they're okay and they don't need a lot of work, but maybe you want me to use them in a composite or something like that. So, lots of different options here. By the way, guys, when you do that, put your name in the file name so I know who submitted it. So we know, so we can chat you out and say, hey, this is, so-and-so's photograph. Maximum of 3 submissions per week. All right, let's go to the desktop right now. And this is what we have here. First one I'm seeing right now is interesting photograph here, and this is from Paul Vlamic. Paul, are you in the house? If you are in the house, then say hello, introduce yourself, reveal yourself. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to open this in Photoshop, and let's have a look. We are doing that. Oh, good to see you, Bonnie. Glad you could join us again. Good to see everybody there. Hi there, Africa and Art. Transparent objects, maybe we'll do that another time because we're but basically to do transparent objects, well, we'll see if we've got time to touch on it. We'll see. All right, so what we've got here is we've got this fisheye, and I think it'd be fun to get rid of the fisheye. So I'm just going to Control J, make a copy of it so we can see the before after. And the way to do this is if we go under Filter, and you're looking for this really smoothly named filter, Adaptive Wide Angle. Right? Adaptive Wide Angle. Makes sense. Okay, they did the fisheye photo with a fisheye lens. Probably a GoPro would be my guess. All right, or maybe just a fisheye lens. Actually, it's a NEF, so it was not a GoPro, so it was shot on a Nikon camera. Probably shot with a very wide angle lens. Let's have a look. We can see here it's a 8 to 15 mil. So yes, it was shot for very wide angle 8 to 15 millimeter lens. You can see it in the bottom left there. All right, so what we've done is it's already got a lot better. Notice that. And we're using there's different options. You could choose the fisheye option, which is doing quite nicely. And then you can change the focal length. We know we're in 8 to 15, so what happens if we go back towards more the 8, because this might be where this is. And yep, look at that. So let's do, and you can see immediately that cleans it out. Okay, so a little far. So if we take it back, so you got to think about, okay, you might lose some of this photograph at some point when you do that. We can also adjust the crop factor. So let's take the crop factor all the way, drop this down a little bit, and let's bring it in. All right, so as you can see when we get in here, this is just kind of cleaning it up there, and we're just going to click OK. And obviously you're going to need to crop into this photo. But if we look at it here, here's the photo. See how, you know, everything's kind of weird. This is bent. The power lines, everything bent. The cars are squished and everything like that. We go here. Everything is stretched back and it's normal. What you would do though is you would lose some of it because you would have to crop this in. So how far in would we crop this? Here's some interesting areas here. So what we can do is say, hey, you know, I want to crop it here. I'm still losing a little bit. Actually, I don't even need that stuff on the left. Let's be honest. So we're going into this area here. We could crop it right into just the subject if you wanted. You know, just crop it in like that. However, let me show you something. If we are going in a little bit further, let's do the bottom here. I probably is not going to work well, but we'll try. So let's crop this in. If we get the transparency, we can Control click. We'll select the transparency. See how we've got those selections? Command Shift I to inverse the selection. So now we've just selected the areas with no pixels. We don't want an overlap, so we're going to use Select. We want to modify the selection, and we want to expand it by, I don't know, let's do 4 pixels. And what that does is it gives it a little area, a little buffer room to work with. And now we're going to use Content Aware Fill. Shift Delete brings up the Fill dialog box. Change it to Content Aware. Click OK. And it's going to attempt to fill this in. Control D. And, you know, we're not going to use a crop tool. And that's actually not bad. Look at that. Cobblestones are looking pretty good. Up here, it's a little weird. There's a little doubling, but no one would ever know. And, of course, if you did want to fix it, you know, you could just grab the clone stamp and just, you know, go in and fix that. So, anyway, that's how we get rid of that kind of an issue on the photograph. Can we do fisheye in Photoshop? Absolutely, we can do fisheye in Photoshop. So, if we had this and we wanted to turn it into a fisheye, let's just go here. Let me show you. And I wanted to make this look like a fisheye. I never tried it with adaptive wide angle, but that would probably work too. Let's try it and find out. So if we go under here, let's not do auto, let's do our fisheye. And let's see what we can do here. I don't usually use this to, let's do the focal length, to create a fisheye effect. So maybe it won't work well. I'm curious, of course. Or let's go to the full spherical. No. Okay, I'm going to show you how I was going to do it anyway. I just wanted to try that and see if it would work. There's a couple of different ways of doing it, but one of them is you can use a filter distort and then just choose to spherize is one way. And then with this spherize filter adjusted, all you need to do is just drag it up and say, hey, I want a fisheye effect, boom. You can do it that way. You can go to larger. There's also other ways we can do this using the filter lens correction. Let's have a look. What can we do with the lens correction? We go to custom and we can do it this way. And of course, you know, we might need to scale it out a little bit, but yeah. And you can start to apply that effect, you know, just kind of going that way is another way. All right, so moving on, let's have a look. What else have we got here? All right, so we've got this band here, and is this Donald Haynes? Yes, it is. How did I know that Donald Haynes submitted these? Because Donald shoots all these. Are you here, Donald? Say hello. If you are. Okay, let's drag both of these. I don't know if what we're going to do is going to work, but let's edit them in Photoshop. Hey, you were here in the house. Awesome. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt to do something with these that may or may not work. And I'm just going to turn these into 8-bit. And this could fail miserably, and we're just going to try it and just see what happens. So the first thing I want to do is I want to clean up the tones. So I'm just going to hit the Control Alpha levels, and let's just get our tones cleaned up. There's so many different ways of doing this, but this is the way we're doing it right now. And let's do it on here, Control L for levels. Usually I'll go into Camera Raw for this, but what I'm trying to do is just bring out the detail. You guys know where I'm going with this. I did a tutorial last week. Will this work? Will it not? Let's find out. Let's go into AI. So we're going to use the neural filters. So filter neural filters. And this might work, or it could be just a complete bust. Let's find out. Choose colorize. And let's see what it does. Boom, look at that. Works great. Nicely done. All right, and let's go to the other one. Maybe this one will work. I don't know. Filter. Let's go to the neural filter. This colorizes one hit. Either it's going to work or it's not going to work. Hit it there, and let's see what happens. Boom. Looks great. Not enough saturation? No problem. Let's just go here. Turn up the intensity a little bit. And of course, we can turn on saturation. Let's give it a little push there into the saturation. There we go. A bit more color. Click OK. And if you wanted to mix that with the original color, no problem. Just pull back the opacity a little bit, and you can put a little green in there. So if you wanted to still make it look like you got colored stage lights, you can. Same with this. You want the colored stage lights, no problem. Just wind it back a little bit, mix them together. But yep, this AI thing changes absolutely everything, guys. So anyway, this has been a fun live from lockdown. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Do me a favor, let me know here what you guys would like to see me cover in a future live from lockdown. Drop it into the comment. And for those of you who are not sure, what we're going to be doing is the replay will be done as soon as we're done. Yes, been an hour already, Tracy. Can you believe that? It is crazy. That curvature pen tool, cool. Drop all those comments in there, guys. Let me know. The time has really gone quickly. So I hope you guys got value this week from our live streaming and you enjoyed it. Range masking. Okay, these are great suggestions in here, guys. I'll let you pop those in. And by the way, guys, if you just joined us and you haven't yet, or you've been watching and you haven't yet hit that like button, if anything you remotely liked, if you liked it better than getting a piece of glass in your shoe, hit that like button, which is the thumbs up. It helps us with the algorithm on YouTube. And trust me, we need help because we're not hyperbole. If I was to say, how to remove heads, I don't know. The one secret magic button in Photoshop to make everything 1,000 times better, we would get a lot more views on our videos, but that's not the kind of channel that we are. So I rely on you guys to help with interaction by putting likes and subscribes to help us there. And if you haven't yet subscribed, hit that subscribe button, and that will let you know when we go live, which is every Thursday 1 p.m. Pacific time, and when we upload our videos, which is every Tuesday morning when you wake up. Use the Tuesday morning USA time. I do a nice, clean, tight, edited video, usually less than 10 minutes. And if you guys like that, boom. So thanks for watching. And, for those of you who are watching the replay crew, thank you for joining us. You can't participate in the live chat because that only happens during the hour when we're live. But the comments underneath to that comment section, drop a comment. I read those comments and I respond to them. And if you can join us live, that's awesome. So anyway, guys, until next time, I'll see you at the cafe. All right. Quick afterglow. We finished exactly 2. Thanks for those of you guys who could join us. I know some of you have to go, so catch you later. Thank you once again, Bruce, for keeping everything nice and beautiful in here. And for you guys, good to see so many regulars here. Glad you guys could join it. Photo Maker Dojo, Jory, good to see you. Jason, Linda, Russ in the house from London, always there. Thank you for joining us. Ralph Nelson, my friend, thank you for joining us. Rayel, good to see you again. Thank you. Nabisa African Art. I'm saying your name wrong. I'm sorry. I know you're a regular. Thanks for joining us, Yvonne. Wakefield. I think at this point it's all regulars pretty much. Gary Peterson, good to see you again, buddy. Orcapass, good to see you. Glad you could join us again. Klaus, glad you're here. Bruce, of course. Alistair, Paul, Ray, Laurie, Stuart Braithwaite, Kiora from New Zealand, glad you could join us. Harimai, we've got Donald Haynes in the house, of course. Tracy, regular. Daphne, glad you could join us. Michael Stein, good to see you. Hannah, Misty Moss, Ray L, I think I already said you, Ray. Donald Haynes, I might say your name twice. Carolyn, good to see you. Photo Maker, Dana, all regulars. Wow, it's regulars, all regulars today. Susan Kerman, Linda, good to see you. Polka Dot Studios, glad you're there, good to see you. Jonah from Brazil, glad you could join us. Joe, glad you could join us. Eric M, good to see you again. Colin Little, thank you, from Bonnie, Scotland. Photomaker, see ya. Alright guys, thanks for joining us, and yeah, we'll see you guys again next week.